Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Essence. So today I'm here at Pinnacle Mountain here in Arkansas. I'm actually moving in a few days, and so I was just trying to think to myself like if there was anything I wanted to do before I left. And so technically I've been to Pinnacle Mountain before, and I've actually climbed all the way to the top. But at the time that I did that, that was with the person that I was dating when I first moved to Arkansas. And so I just wanted to come back here one last time and look around. And I'm going to go up on the trail a little bit as I'm talking to you guys, but I didn't know it was going to rain, and it sounds like it's going to rain. So if it starts raining, then I'm going to have to jet. But so I forget exactly how tall Pinnacle Mountain is. When I walk over to the sign, we'll see if it tells me or not, because I forgot if it says specifically or not. But when I went all the way to the top of the Pinnacle Mountain, the very first time I ever climbed it, it got complicated at one point because there's actual rocks. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's a point where like you'll see, but there's kind of like a path that you can step on as you're going up. And they even have benches at the rest points so you can stop and get a view and just take a breath. But when you really get like close to the top of the mountain, there's dead ass rocks you're climbing up. Like, hard to explain, and I'm not going to get to go all the way up there today. But I will say climbing Pinnacle Mountain was my first time climbing a mountain. I mean, it looks like a mountain to me. I'm going to show you guys the big perspective when I leave, because you can't see it from where I'm at now. But yeah, so I wanted to come back here and try to form a good memory for just myself, since I'm no longer with that person anymore, and because that situation became abusive and things like that. I saw a quote that says something about basically taking your power back by going and making positive memories in places that maybe you had negative ones, or whatever the case may be. And even though being here with her wasn't negative, it's just about giving myself my own memory before I leave. So here we go. All right, y'all, so hopping out the car, this is the view we have. They have like some benches up in here, and we're gonna walk over there in a second and see what the sign says. I think it's information on Pinnacle Mountain. But here's some of the trees. The trees was truly one of my favorite part about coming to this park. Honestly, I love Arkansas's trees in general, but you see the cloudiness, you see the rain coming, you see it. But anyway, over there, they have a little park for kids. You see somebody walking their dog. A lot of white tea people be walking their dogs over here. And they also have like a little restroom thing right there. So, but yeah, this is like a really nice park. Like, if somebody wanted to, they could come over here and go for a jog or something if they like. And I think they also have some kind of like observatory center or something like on another part of the park. But anyways, let's walk up to this sign. All right, y'all, so here's a little sign that they have. Let's read the sign first. So, Pinnacle Mountain State Park, West Summit Trail. And then they show you where you're at, as you can see. And then all the little checkpoints that you go up until you get to the top, which is 1,011 feet. You see that little pickup there? That's kind of like the view that you get when you're up top. But yeah, because we're not going up there today. But yes, I've been up to the top before, so I think that's pretty freaking cool. And then they give you some tips for safety and some fun facts. They tell you how long the hike is gonna take, yada, yada, yada. Look at the trees. Love it, love it, love it. Let's go ahead and walk like we're gonna walk up the trail. Mind you, we are gonna walk up it some, but we are not walking up all of it. And there's the little yellow markers that they were talking about. Oh, wow. I didn't know this. It says you must exit the park 1 hour after sunset. Be sure to take plenty of water. Good warnings, because I'm telling you, climbing up this mountain, y'all, the sun was out last time I was here, and I enjoyed it overall, but when I say this shit was not a walk in the park, it was not a walk in the park. But This is what I meant by the trail is really, I don't want to say easy, but when I say these rocks, because they look like little stairs, you see, it almost looks like a little staircase. This is the easiest part of the trail. Like, as long as this part goes, I don't remember exactly how many miles this part goes up or whatever, but as long as you are on this flat staircase part of the trail, this is the easiest part. But when you get to the part where you really have to kind of like climb and you're going up freaking rocks, like big ass rocks, like I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, shit gets real. Yes, it does. All right, y'all. Hey, this is the cool thing about having a tripod stick. I'm freaking tired. Here's the fit, nothing too crazy, just a little black top and some pants and I think these are, what is it? My Asics running shoes that I won in Run Club last year. Ew. Let me just get some footage one last time before I leave in a few days. Just me and the trees and nature. Honestly, y'all, I was crying when I was on my way up here because I was just filled with emotions, and I used to not live too far from this area when I was dating her, but now that I'm here, I feel so happy to be in nature. Okay, shit, y'all, I think it's starting to rain, so let me try and hurry up and climb up this trail a little bit and try to give y'all a story time. All right, y'all, so bear with me because I am hiking and trying to tell y'all this at the same time, but when I moved to Arkansas, I moved here for somebody, and for those of you who don't know any gay terminology, lesbians have this terminology called U-hauling, where they basically move in together when they don't really know each other for as long as maybe other people feel they should or whatever. That's not that much different from the concept of straight people shacking up, so whatever you want to call it. Anyways, I did that, and at the time I didn't mind moving here for her because I really liked her and she seemed like a sweet person, and I'm a lover girl, so I was willing to do whatever for love, and so I did. And the situation ended up becoming abusive. And something that I've learned from not having a lot of family, from leaving that Jehovah's Witness cult and shit. If you don't know anything about that, go back and look at my older videos. But one thing that I've learned is, like, some people, they try to prey on people that come from environments where they don't have a lot of family, or they don't really have anyone to rely on, because if you're abusive, that's good for you, because if you start doing shit to fuck them over, well, where do they really have to go, right? We think you don't have anywhere to go, and that's definitely what happened in my case. Anyway, long story sort of shorter, like, I saw my mom grow up in an abusive relationship, and I just told myself a long time ago that I would not allow myself to be in an abusive relationship. And years ago, when my mom was in the abusive relationship, she had left being a Jehovah's Witness and she was disfellowshipped. But it's just like, now that I've been through the experience I've been through, I hate that I've experienced an abusive relationship, but I understand the things that I've been through, they do put me more at risk for being good prey for people who are looking to be abusive, because I don't have a big support system, and because I do want love, and I did overlook some red flags and stuff like that. But now that I've been through what I've been through, there's just certain red flags that I hope to never overlook again. Oh my God, it's coming down raining. I gotta run. Holy shit. God damn it, y'all. It's freaking raining. I'm running for my life. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna finish telling the story while I'm running for my life in this rain. But yeah, basically it's like, when I moved with her, like, everything wasn't all bad at first. That's how it starts off in abusive relationships. Like, they pretend to be such a good person and all this other stuff, but really they just want to use and abuse you for your energy. Or there are some people who try and use you for money, but I've never had a lot of money, so yeah, I haven't been used in that way. But still, my point is that, like, I just have learned a lot after getting out of that situation, and I've had a lot of emotions running through me and things like that, and for a while I beat myself up about it. But what I've been having to learn is, like, I can't beat myself up for certain things that I've been through, because my life is very unique. Like, coming out of a cult and not having support, I mean, it might not be unique in the sense that, like, I know there's other people who are orphans or have been through other things or don't have family as well because they're gay or like whatever. But I just mean, people from unusual circumstances, you can't be as hard as yourself as somebody who had a better circumstance, because you have different choices to make. And regardless of the fact that I shouldn't have moved in with her as soon as I did, that still doesn't excuse abuse. Like, nothing excuses abuse. Okay, I'm almost back to the car. I feel like I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I just have been thinking a lot after I finally was in a position where I could leave her. And I have a friend of mine to thank for that, because she helped me escape that situation, even though I'm sure the person I was dating probably thinks I left her for somebody else, even though that's not what happened. But she can think whatever she wants to fucking think. I don't care. Abusers are always gonna find theories to support their delusions. Okay, so I'm under the little shelter thing, so I can finish talking now. But basically, I say all of this to say that, like, I've just had a lot of thoughts going through my head as I'm about to finally move from Arkansas. But ultimately, even though I ended up in an abusive situation, I don't regret moving here for someone, because I'm just that kind of person that's willing to do for love. Like, that's just how I am. And on top of that, I feel like even though being here was different from anywhere I've ever been before, this is the natural state, or is it the nature state? One or the other. And so it's very, like, nature-like here, small town and things like that. And I don't feel like it's nowhere I would want to stay forever, but it was cute for the time that I lived here. But ultimately, I feel like it's time to take all my lessons that I've learned and move on. And moving on is not easy, but, and when I say that, I'm more so mean, like, people who've been in an abusive relationship or an abusive anything, right? It's the hardest thing to leave that person, also dangerous to leave that person. But not only that, you have to go through so many emotions, because you're grieving the person you thought that they were versus the person they pretended to be. You're grieving in other ways. I know sometimes I felt like the abuse was my fault, because that's what I was gaslit to believe. There's just so many emotions that you have to work through. And then on top of that, of course, I've been upset because it's like, I don't have the option to just go back home like some people might have. And this whole situation has made me think about other women in the world who go through abuse, and they're like me, and they don't really have anywhere to go. And if they're not lucky enough to have a friend or something to help them out, or family, like, I understand now, like, why some people end up staying in an abusive relationship longer than they should. And it's not as easy to get out depending on your circumstances as people try to make it seem. But again, ultimately, throughout all of this, I'm just saying this to, like, other XJWs or other people who come from unorthodox circumstances. I'm just going to reiterate this one more time. One thing I'm learning is I cannot judge myself for certain decisions that I've had to make, given that I was kind of just thrown into a shit show. Like, ever since I was a kid, I definitely felt like I grew up very unprotected, not truly looked out for. No one ever really had my back. And, then women grow up. And, when you've come from a household where as a child, your emotions were dismissed or you weren't properly taught certain ways of love or different things like that, it's like that little girl becomes a woman someday. She grows older. And I know me personally, I've searched for love and I've searched for friends. I've searched for family and people that weren't family. And what I'm learning is that when you don't really have people that have your back, when you don't come from that background, sometimes you could find yourself falling into a trap of people trying to use what you've been through against you and manipulate you and try to treat you like shit. But now I'm really using this time, especially with me being able to get out of Arkansas now and start over and build a new life for myself. I'm using this time to try to educate myself about, I've always been into psychology, but I'm really just trying to educate myself about what it looks like to be able to receive genuine love and healthy love versus, when somebody's just blowing smoke up your ass or they don't really fuck with you like that, different stuff like that. Like, I'm really taking in all of the things that I'm learning and trying to use these lessons to create a better future. I remember seeing a quote one time. I don't remember if it was on Reddit or something, but there was a girl who was an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and she basically posted something saying, like, if it's your first quote unquote worldly relationship, she was basically saying, like, don't settle and this, that, and the third. And for me, with this person, I think this was the closest thing that I had to like a real domesticated living together, y'all both doing stuff like a couple together. This was my first like closest thing to a real relationship. And there were times where like I was starting to question certain things along the way. But again, when you're being gaslit, like the abuser makes you feel like you can't trust your own mind, your own intuition, your own thoughts. And I finally caught on to what was going on. I was just like, oh shit, Essence, like I think you're about to be in a predicament where you're going to have to make a choice to choose yourself over this person if this person is not going to treat you better, because I've learned to be able to speak up for myself and my needs and things that I need. And I was doing that, but this person was not taking accountability for certain things and not being receptive to it. Which, why would they? They're an abuser. You know what I'm saying? Abusers, they don't know how to truly change. They may apologize and pretend to do better for a little bit, but they can't truly change because change is not the goal. They want to be able to get away with treating you in certain ways that are not okay. And so I just have never forgotten, like, reading that. I think I still have the screenshot in my phone somewhere about not settling, basically. And settling, it's not about, somebody who has the most money or different things like that, titles. Settling can be as simple as, like, if somebody is being disrespectful to you and you deserve respect and softness and somebody who can communicate in a way that's not yelling at you or certain other stuff, that is considered settling if you're dating someone who's being disrespectful and you deserve respect. So just remember that. I feel like I'm forgetting to say something, but y'all, I remember at one point in time after I finally left the situation I was in, I was looking at a lot of these law and crime videos, and it's really disheartening how many people around the world deal with abusive situations, and how a lot of times the cops or different people in our quote-unquote justice system don't really know how to handle domestic cases or don't be believing people. It's really unfortunate, and it's even more unfortunate the cases I've seen where the women have actually been taken out, sometimes the kids as well. So, I understand there be jokes about social media, about people being possessive and obsessive and different stuff like that, but I need y'all to understand that certain stuff like that, it's not cute, it's not funny, and it could quite literally lead to you potentially losing your life or ending up in a situation where somebody's trying to suck the life out of you. They're energy vampires. They're trying to suck your energy out of you by trying to keep you in this cycle of arguing and toxicity and things like that. But even more importantly than that, I'm learning to be more vigilant for red flags and warning signs that somebody could be abusive, because it could quite literally cost a person their life. Dealing with the wrong person has quite literally costed many women their lives. And it's really sad too as well how many people I've spoken to after I got out of this abusive situation with her, who have told me as well that they've experienced DV among same-sex relationships. And look, now that I've dated both men and women, it doesn't matter the sex, whether it's same sex, opposite sex, DV is not okay, period. And if somebody's putting your hands on you, I hope that you find a way to leave them, period. Because the first time I got into a really bad situation with the person I was with, they did try, and it did work, to do sweet stuff after the fact and put rose petals and candles and stuff like that all out and whatever. And so I forgave them and things like that. Like, people really, they really will do some shit to you and then be expecting you to forgive them. But I'm telling you that even if you've gone through something like that or going through something like that or whatever, if a person doesn't respect you enough to not like put their hands on you or do something crazy to you the first time, I don't believe they're sorry. I'm sorry. I don't believe that they are. They can't be, or they wouldn't have done it to you. I'm looking forward to moving to another state. I'm looking forward to starting a new journey. And I didn't know that I was going to become basically like this accidental nomad who has just so happened to live in different states. But I've just been through some shit in my life. And again, that just goes back to me having to remind myself that like my life is not going to look like a person's life who grew up with two loving parents, a stable home, who tried to encourage them to go to college and have a certain kind of life or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And even some people who come from backgrounds like that, they have their issues as well, right? But my point is, if you have an unorthodox journey, you just cannot compare yourself to somebody who has a more traditional background. And that's something that I'm coming to terms with and accepting. All right, y'all, had to switch locations for a second to film the rest because there's still people in the park and stuff. But another reason I'm looking forward to moving to another state is because I am looking forward to not having to feel like I'm looking over my freaking shoulder. When you get out of an abusive situation, you run the risk of being stalked by that person. And this person already as is still looks at one of my social media sites, and it doesn't matter how I know, I just know, and I've been peeping and paying attention to it. But my point is that leaving an abusive person is so much more than just leave, like people try to say, especially if people don't have the luxury like I'm able to, you know, leave where my abuser just so happens to live. But it's just like there are other people who've been in abusive relationships who they have ended up losing their lives because the person ended up finding out where they lived and they were still mad after the fact and came and click-clacked or whatever. So even though I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case in my situation, all I'm getting at is that just having that feeling of being able to move somewhere else now and not feel like I have that possibility of running into that person anymore or whatever, I love that, and that's a big relief for me. And yeah, that's just one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to this move, so I can just really breathe and truly have a fresh start, hopefully. And for me at this point, it's not even about running per se, but I would definitely be able to understand if somebody somewhere else in the world has been in an abusive relationship and they did choose to want to move to another state, like, I would completely understand why they would want to do something like that. But also to note too, because even though, yes, I do make YouTube videos and stuff, and I do tell y'all some things about my life, there are some things that I do like to keep private into myself. But another reason I feel it's just so important to speak on something like this is because it happens a lot, and a lot of people don't call it what it is, let alone call out the abusers or, you know, try to hold them accountable for their actions. So I just feel like, you know what, if you get to move on to the next person and potentially do some of the similar shit, or you get to try and sit up in your crib and act like ain't nothing bothering you when you know that I've tried to give you opportunities to treat me right and you still chose to be abusive in certain areas. Like, I'm done like feeling bad or like holding back for motherfuckers who don't deserve it. And I'm not name dropping or anything like that, but my point is like, I should be able to speak on how I feel and what the fuck I'm going through, because I know I'm not the only one going through it. And there are other women who have been in abusive situations too, who I know understand and feel me. And more than anything, again, I just want people to know watching this, like, because I'm figuring this life shit out just like the rest of y'all. I don't have the blueprint for this shit, but you don't have to stay in something abusive, because the facts are, like, let's just say hypothetically, because y'all know Jehovah's Witnesses love to have that logic of like, oh, well, she left the truth, so that's why she's going through hardships. And it's like, actually, no, you thought you clocked T, but actually you didn't, because I've known people who were Jehovah's Witnesses who were also in abusive relationships. The only difference is Jehovah's Witnesses be trying to tell you that you can't leave unless somebody cheats on you, and that if somebody's putting their hands on you, from last I remember, they preferred you to actually separate, but still you weren't really supposed to get a divorce, which is bullshit. So anyways, my point is anybody who knows anything truly about religion is that that's where a lot of abusive people be hiding, and hiding under the guise of being godly while doing lots of ungodly things. So regardless of religion, or whether you come from a background of not having family like me, or you do have it, abusers, they can find you either way. I'm just speaking on some things that I'm going through and some things that I'm feeling. And I'm the kind of person that feels like, you know what, if something ever did happen to me, if somebody ever did feel bold to do anything like I've seen in these law and crime shows, well, baby, they gonna have my YouTube videos, and a couple of my friends know I have certain stuff in my phone that they can definitely give to the police. Even without my phone, there's other ways of them getting that information as well, if anybody ever thought they was gonna try and come and get me. Looking on the playback of that last clip, I hella was in my feelings. Clearly that riled me up a little bit. But anyways, thank y'all so much for coming with me to Pinnacle Mountain. I think I should probably stop there because I just have so much that I could say, but I'm trying to wait until I get to a more healed space before I speak on certain things. But it's starting to pour down, so I'm finna go. Stay subscribed if you want to eventually find out what comes next in my life, because I don't know when I'll be back for another update. But yeah, by the time I will have posted this, I will no longer be in Arkansas. So thanks for watching. I always appreciate those of you who genuinely support. And oh shit, I forgot. I gotta show y'all a clip of like what the mountain looks like on the outside. So I'm gonna insert that clip after this. But anyways, appreciate you watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. All right, y'all, it's raining, but I pulled over on the side of the road just so you guys can see a big view of the mountain. Y'all see all the way at the damn top? Yep, I climbed up that bitch. I definitely did. Not today, but yep, that's Pinnacle Mountain. All right, bye.